It was fixed.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Boker Tov, Rabbi Prabhu.
Oh. וישב יעקב בארץ מגורי אביו, בארץ כנען, very unusual type of an opening. I mean, we know that the previous parasha told us that Yaakov finally reached and reunited. Here the parasha begins by Yeshev. Oh, thank you.
Right?
Yeah. Let's look a second what Rashi says in the pasuk Vayeshev Yaakov. Says Rashi, אחר שכתב לך יישובי עשיו ותולדותיו בדרך קצרה. After the previous parasha summarized the lineage of Esau, this is page 198. שלא היו ספונים וחשובים לפרש. The Torah is not elaborating because it's Esau. פירש לך יישובי יעקב ותולדותיו בדרך ארוכה כל גיבורי סיבותם, כפי שהם חשובים בפני המקום. רש"י says something very fundamental. רש"י, כן אתה מוצא בעשרה דורות שמאדם עד נוח, you have only numbers, פלוני הוליד את פלוני. כשבא לנוח, is major העריך בו. 10 דורות מנוח עד אברהם, קיצר בהם. שהגיע על אברהם העריך בו. משל, very famous משל רש"י brings, למרגלית, the Jew שנפלה בין החול. אדם ממשמש בחול וקוברו, you sift the sand and you look all over because you know that there is a מרגלית. וכשמצאה הוא משליך את הצרורות. This is the first pshat. The first pshat is this, from this parasha and on, we are basically moving to the second half of creation. The world was created. Avraham on his own bechira became Avraham, Yitzchak and Yaakov. Now we are moving slowly to the second half, which is the establishment of Am Israel. This is first pshat. Look at the next second pshat in Rashi. דבר אחר. דבר אחר, וישב יעקב, הפשטני הזה נכנסו גמליו טעונים פשטן. A fellow who is dealing with flax as camels carrying a lot of merchandise. הפחמית אמר, איך ייכנס כל הפשטן הזה? Where is he going to put it? היה פיקח אחד משיב לו, ניצוץ אחד יוצא ממפוח שלך, one spark of fire is going through. כך יעקב ראה את כל האלופים הכתובים למעלה. יעקב, we read in the end of last week, how the lineage, how Esau is breaking into תמה ואמר, מי יכול לכבוש את כולם? מה כתוב למטה? אלה תולדות יעקב יוסף. והיה בית יעקב אש, ובית יוסף לאהבה, ובית עשיו לקש. Very important lesson to understand. Yosef is not one of the Shvatim. Yosef is Mashiach ben Yosef. We said many times. Yoshua went to fight Amalek. Shmuel, Shaul is from Binyamin also. Yeah, the same as. So basically, Yosef is the beginning of Am Israel moving into the other half of our destination. If you look at it from Kriyat Haolam, okay, we pointed out this week that everyone in this parasha is making major mistakes. Yaakov, Yosef certainly. And the interesting part is, look a second at the pasuk. והוא נער את בני בלהה ואת בני זלפה, he befriended the children of Bilhah because the children of Leah are looking down on them. This is a very positive look into the personality of Yosef. Nevertheless, Vayaveh Yosef et dibatam. David dibatam of whom? The pasuk clearly says that dibatam, those who will be friends. Most of the Rishonim say
Right. Rashi, we said Shimon the other brothers, so the sons of Leah, right?
this is Rashi, but
Rashi.
many Rishonim are learning openly, not like Rashi, but in the same pasuk,
You're talking about
you are befriending. You are befriending Bnei Leah. You are befriending Bnei Bilhah, or you can learn the opposite. If he wants to defend or to show the importance of Bnei Leah, of the importance of Bnei Bilhah, is by speaking against.
If it's Bnei Bilah, then it's even worse because he befriended them,
This
and then
is-
he didn't stand.
right,
They didn't
right,
stand
right,
up for
right,
them
right,
when everything
Right.
went.
This is part of those commentators
There's
who
no
learn
hakarat hatov
that
there.
he is bringing Dibatam Rav Bnei Bilhah, Irahem, I'm defending you, I'm befriending you. Nevertheless, or you can look at it the opposite. Since I'm not friendly with Bnei Leah, I cannot say anything about them because I don't know them. Here I spent days and days, weeks and weeks with you, so I know you. Of course, Yosef meant good, but as we know, it turns bad.
As we know, he turns.
Because he sat in jail 12 years because of Lashon Hara. He said the Chafetz Chaim Mida Keneged Mida. Why did you go to jail? Because Dibatam Ra'ah. Because she spoke about you. You know why? Because you spoke about the blood. Chafetz Chaim takes every one of this people here. He shows exactly like a woman. Whatever you did, so he meant good, but it is scary, but it's a lesson. It's a lesson. Look a second, וישראל אהב את יוסף כי בן זקונים הוא לו. Look at the Rashi at the bottom. Rashi says, בן זקונים שנולד לו לעת מבנתו. Of course, Binyamin is younger than him, but Binyamin is a minor yet. No, I mean, I'm saying.
Dan and Naphtali, Gad and Asher, how many years old do you think they were? One, two.
No, by now, no. The Unkel,
5 or 6.
we know that Shimon.
Maximum. It's not like it's 20 years later.
No, but we know that Shimon and Levi, when they interfered in Shechem, were 13. So most of the kids were born within 6 years, if you follow the Psukim. Look at the Rashi on the bottom.
Do we know how many years when Yosef was born after he married Rachel? How many years into it? He married.
In the Pasuk, it comes out after 5 years of Leah.
So you say that
Please
Reuben
remember
was
that
born.
he took.
After 5
Please
years,
remember that he got Rachel a week after he married to Leah.
Right.
So
So
they had
therefore, so
6
Reuben is the oldest. Yosef was probably
Five or 6 years.
So maybe 12 years between Reuben and.
Probably 5 or 6 years. And
no,
then
but from the last, from Dinah.
No, I'm talking about from Reuben, the oldest, to Yosef. How
Well, I
much?
think 6.
No, from the oldest, but
No, it was
basically
7 years. He works. Oh, you took him right away. You're saying, okay. No, I understand. You guys took him right away. And then he worked. No, he worked 7 years. Then he said, "Where's Rachel?"
Right, there's
So he
only
took him
13
1
years.
week later. He took him 1 week
Then he
later.
took
Years. There's only
He worked. They
13
took them both. Okay.
So look, Israel,
No, you're right. He took them both. You're right.
Leah had 6 kids, right? There was at least 1 year between them.
Yeah.
According to the Midrash, that Dinah and Yosef.
And then she stopped giving birth. Then she gave him Zilpah, whatever. So that's 6 years. Then a year or two is 8. Then Zilpah 1 or 2, so 9, 10. There's only 13 years. The youngest above him is 3 years old, maximum. Maximum. So it's not really Ben Zekunim. I don't buy it. I don't buy it.
Oh, boy.
Okay.
And what about
Are
Binyamin?
you
What
selling
about
Rabbi?
Binyamin?
Sam's not buying.
Even though it says it in
He
print,
wasn't born yet.
even though it says it in print.
בישראל
He
אהב,
was born already.
בישראל אהב את יוסף מכל בניו כבן זקונים. הוא לא so Rashi says שנולד לו לעת זקנתו. Then
But how old was Yaakov at this point?
You say.
we were going to repeat now what was said before 5 times. So let's not do it the 6
Okay,
times.
okay.
It's done
Okay, no
already.
problem.
ואונקלוס תרגם, אונקלוס
Achlam.
בר חכים אולי.
Yeah.
מה זה בר חכים puts it totally
Different
different.
perspective in time.
Chacham doesn't mean you have an IQ of 145 more than Einstein. Yeah? Chacham, a Perush, he understands everything. He has a very big vision.
That's why I
Yaakov,
like it.
כך אומר אונקלוס.
Okay, I buy it. I don't buy that shit. I buy Oculus.
Says, listen to the Baal HaTurim.
Why'd you say?
זה הזקן הזה שקנה חוכמה.
Makes sense. He was troubled by Ben Zekunim.
I mean, everyone, it's obvious. Everyone has the same problem. Yeah? The Baal HaTurim says, Ben Zekunim, שמסר לו כל מה שקיבל מזקנים, מסר לו כל מה שקיבל. Rashi himself also says,
Yaakov Masar Yosef.
only Yosef,
Dafka.
only Yosef כמעט כמו אונקלוס, כי הוא בן חכים הוא לא. זאת אומרת, everything look a second,
Not natural IQ. Yosef, Yaakov.
חכם,
taught him the law.
זה דבר עמוק מאוד.
He invested in
The
him.
wisdom is not in Shem
Gave him the
ever.
goods.
Right, gave
You look, Sammy, look further,
Sound like
look further, look further in Rashi, look further in Rashi. ואונקלוס תרגם בר חכים אולי. כל מה שלמד משם ועבר, you see Rashi himself brings the תרגום אונקלוס because makes sense in the פסוק. כל מה שלמד משם ועבר מסר לו. אוקיי, דבר אחר, שהיה זיו איכונין שלו, הוא אומר לו,
He looked like
They look
because
like
he was
Yeah,
the only
yeah.
one that was going to have to deal with the galut. And when he went by Shem and Evan, it was a different.
right, but David says Rabbi Kamenetsky said, because he is a chacham, he told him stuff that the brothers are not up to yet.
Right, because why did he teach Reuven?
but-
Why just this guy?
Only
In
Yosef was
reality-
gonna be
Yosef was going down
In
Mitzrayim.
reality, says Rabbi Kamenetsky, if you look, you see there are two opinions. What did you learn in Yeshiva of Shem Ve'ever? That Yaakov did not learn by his father. It goes 14 years to Shem Malamacha. So some are saying this is like a Kabbalistic type of Yeshiva. This is stuff that the ordinary people cannot relate to. But Rabbi Kamenetsky says, Shem Ve'ever are teaching him Torah Galut. Shem Ve'ever lived in the time of the Mabul. They know exactly how you have to exist when you're being dropped in the jungle. Yes, which means Yaakov doesn't know, but what you're teaching him helps him to survive when he goes to Mitzrayim. This is the point of Rabbi. This is what Rabbi Kamenetsky
covers that in English, exactly what you said.
What I said
No,
in the
no,
print
yeah,
before
that's
Archwell was
no,
printed,
same,
this is like-
Archwell
everyone understands.
Yeah, no, yeah, he did obviously say.
Archwell has good sense to put it in, Sam appreciate it.
But then all of a sudden, Shem Ever gives him a
But he
picture
didn't know.
with
But
the
he didn't know.
Sam, look at the,
Having
one
what's going on with the twins.
Look a second.
So they Shem Ever
ועשה לו כתונת, ועשה לו כתונת פסים. Look at the first Rashi, פסים, לשון כלי מילה, כמו כרפס ותכלת. אני אסביר. With this Rashi, if you are tuned into if you tuned into Rashi, pasim, klei milat means fine fabric. Klei milat, but look where Rashi goes, כמו כרפס, כמו כרפס ותכלת by Esther. Did you ever think about the word karpas, kadesh? Urachatz Karpas.
And the dipping also, the dipping in the, we dip and we dip in the blood.
One of the commentators say the reason why the dipping
Yeah.
has a name of Karpas, why? Is to remember the night of Pesach. When you celebrate redemption, remember why he went down to Egypt.
They dip the blood, the Ketonet
Ketonet Pasim.
in the blood.
שומע איזה יופי שזה, this is what רש"י, כמו כרפס ותפילת, you see in מגילת אסתר, the word כרפס, right, refers to very fine fabric, yes? We name, whenever you're doing כרפס, to remember that the night of Pesach, we ended up in Egypt because of Lashon Hara and each other. Disrespect. Of course, Rashi brings it in Tanakh, yes, Tamar, the daughter of David from Yefat Toar, it says in Tanakh, was wearing. This is why Amnon raped her, yes. She was very distinguished. It said in Tanakh.
The Egyptian, like in the mummies,
No, not the same.
they have pictures of people wearing striped things, and the archaeologist said these are Semites.
Semites.
This was very popular
Generation.
in
Very,
Yaakov
very-
the world.
Very
So
interesting.
it was very chashuv. So they
Very
confirmed Ketonet Pasim was the real thing.
It says here in English that Yaakov elevated Yosef to the status of the firstborn, made him the tunic to symbolize his new position in the family.
Was this
Such a
after Ruvain?
difficult-
After
Yeah,
Ruvain was,
Reuven had a
after
problem
Ruvain
saying-
was
Says
sort
that?
of the little sister.
That's what I'm saying, it's,
So who's
Yeah.
quoting? He's quoting something.
he's quoting, Kriyakar.
But remember,
But I'm
this,
saying, it's,
No,
imagine
but-
all the brothers looking at the
And
coat
then-
saying, hey, what happened here?
His son got
No, but-
double.
but remember, Rashi gave us the-
It's
Rashi-
Asur, this is Asur
Rashi-
Deoraita.
Rashi gave it, it's a pseudo writer when it comes to money. You can buy your son the
Ketonet Pasim was
nicest
very
car,
expensive.
listen again, Rashi is saying it only to
No,
expect.
he shouldn't-
This is
no,
why
yeah,
Rashi
no,
gave
yeah,
us
yeah.
the, this is why Rashi
Only
gave us the,
inheritance.
Only
This is-
inheritance.
this
Not
is
saying you
why,
can do what you want.
But the Rabbi give the class.
this is why Rashi gave us the introduction that Yosef, only Yosef, not Reuven, the firstborn, not Yehuda, Yosef is everything. Yaakov
That's
symbolizes
what
it,
jealous.
and not that you can buy him the nicest car, buy him whatever you want, this has nothing to do with Yerusha B'chlal, yes?
Yeah,
Bechor is money. Since Yosef demonstrates that he is growing the way Yaakov knows Yosef has a mission, so in addition of teaching him, he is giving him a message,
The
guys,
symbol, the
giving
symbol.
him a message.
You're special.
He's in charge.
The Midrash says that when she is trying to entice him, okay, the Psukim are saying, which is saying, the Midrash is telling her, Ragilu HaKadosh Baruch Hu sheyesh lo ahuvim b'beit Abba. God in our family is choosing people. He's using Yitzchak as an example. The Akedah says, if I'm listening to you, I'm definitely not going to be the one. He's talking to the lowest of the low. And you're telling him, listen, Akedah Yitzchak. He's talking to himself.
Yeah.
Ketonet Pasim is a message to you. You are special. What kept the kid at 17 in Mitzrayim, 12 years in jail? You know what kept him? Ketonet Pasim. I am special. How do I know? Because my father learned with me what he did not learn with others. My father has, this is, guys, I'm in the business of education. This is the key. If you see kids well or not well, how did which message does the kid, you are nobody and nobody and nobody?
From the parents.
Parents. But this is exactly what he's doing. Can you imagine what gives yourself that when the Gemara says in Sotah, the last minute,
He saw his face.
so what does it mean? But this is exactly what it means. My father trusted me. My father gave me everything. How can I do it? So it's not simple. Everything that we said, of course, is correct. But the Bechorah and this is very cute when you go there Bamidbar,
Yeah.
you want money. Who is the leader? The leader is Yosef. In Kabbalistic terminology, if you read carefully, this man, yes, this man is
Yosef.
Yosef. But the beauty of the story is he made mistakes and he spoke Lashon Hara and he paid heavily for it, but he becomes Yosef. This is part of the lessons he's learning. Anyway, he's telling,
Almost more than Avos.
he's telling, in Kabbalah is כמעט יותר, כן, יוסף, seventh עלייה, שישי, ויחלום יוסף חלום, ויגד לעשיו, תקשיב טוב, סמי, ויאמר עליהם, שימונה החלום הזה אשר חלמתי, is telling them the story, okay? Okay, and obviously it's very clear that the חלום is, I am going to be on top, ויאמרו לו אחיו, פסוק ח' המלוך תמלוך עלינו, עם משול תמשול בנו, as you like text, here is text, ויוסיפו עוד צנועותו על חלומותיו. This is plural.
This is the first Chalom.
This is the first,
Yeah.
מה זה חלומותיו? The pasuk is not telling us.
Yeah.
There are other chalomot, and chalomotav means you are fantasizing, you are hallucinating, yes? To have a dream like this means that in your head, but who is the real yourself?
Does anybody say he had other dreams prior to this? That we're not telling? We're
Yeah,
not being told
yeah,
about?
this morning, Joe Manso told me that he saw the Sefer, the Bartanura is a Sefer, Perush al Torah. He says that there are other things. So I went to look, the Midrash doesn't say it, but he says Chalomotav means, the Pasuk is not telling us. Look a second now, in Parashat Vayechi, at the end, after the burial of Yaakov. So look a second in the Chumash, it says like this. Remember, the brothers are very afraid. Guys, remember, we treat other people exactly the way we are. They couldn't believe that when he told them, I forgive you, he really forgave them. They felt he's doing it only out of respect, okay? So they fabricate the story, yes?
Right.
Fabricate the story. And they told him, the father says, listen what Yosef is telling you. Look at page 288. It's a Perek Nun. Yeah, they said that your father said before he died, please ask Yosef to forgive. Fine. Yosef is crying. וילכו גם אחיו ויפלו לפניו, they fall. הננו לך לעבדים. You understand? They know more than he knows what they really intended to do. They cannot believe that he meant what he said.
Yeah.
But you listen carefully how Yosef looks on life.
Yeah.
This is the Ktonet Pasim, and this is the Chokhmah of Yosef. ויאמר עליהם יוסף, אל תיראו, כי התחת אלוהים אני, ואתם חשבתם עלי רעה. אלוהים חשבה לטובה. למען עשו כיום הזה. What is he telling them? Look at the Rashi over
It's not a
there.
reason to forgive.
Listen
It's
to,
No,
listen.
they were.
He felt he wanted to forgive them.
They had one perspective that was wrong. That was,
look a second at Rashi פסוק י"ט. כי התחת אלוהים אני, שמא במקומו אני. אם הייתי רוצה להרע לכם, please listen carefully what he's telling you. Even if I wish to cause you, כלום אני יכול, can I do it? והלא אתם כולכם חשבתם עליי רע. Your plan was against me. והקדוש ברוך הוא חשבה לטובה. ואיך אני לבדי יכול להרע לכם? Yosef is not, Eli is hinting to Rabbeinu Bachya, he didn't say the word mocher. He erased the reason for being mocher. He erased it. The reason to be mocher means if I punched you. Okay? So blood is coming out. He's telling them, what you did is you pushed me to become the longest existing Jewish king for 80 years.
But it doesn't change the word. No matter how things turn out, it doesn't matter. Whatever your motives are, whatever you think is what counts.
This is why we, the Jewish people, pay every generation in history for this chashavtem alei l'tova.
Right.
Because the seeds are still in every community. Of course. Remember, he's telling you my perspective.
Right.
my perspective to you,
It's not all well.
ואיך
then
אני
it's well.
לבדו, look a second, look a second, וידבר על ליבם, then he's trying to talk to them like, דברים המתקבלים על הלב, עד שלא ירדתם לכאן, until you came to Egypt, היו מרננים עליי, people said, oh, this king is a slave, על ידכם, because of you, found out, אני בן חול, ואני הורג אתכם.
But looking at the brother's perspective, I heard him a number of lectures. They thought they were going to be shut out, like Esav got shut out, like Ishmael got shut out. They thought they were going to be eliminated from the future of the Jewish people. So could they be blamed for that perspective?
But they are blamed,
They are,
which
you know what I'm
means,
saying,
which means,
but Yosef maybe
no,
understood
but
that.
all the lectures that you held is aiming to one point. Whatever you think might be right,
It's wrong.
make sure
Could
you
be.
investigate a little more.
Exactly. They
Yes?
should have gone to their father. I mean,
First and foremost, they should have spoken to him.
of course.
It's also the whole thing is how you've been saying it all week, how we go from point A to point B.
Yeah. And then Yosef had that perspective.
And getting to, and it's Hashem, the way we read it, that's Hashem getting us there. That's why if you read these stories from the beginning, he keeps seeing that word Yarad, Yarad, Yarad.
See, the parasha is screaming it, yes? The parasha-
Yes, it says it the whole time. Yarad, 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 Hurad, Yarad.
Sam, look a second. Sammy, look a second. Look a
That's
second.
Rashi is very confusing there. I don't know what he's saying.
Look a second. When Reuven at the end, when they found the Gavia, listen carefully what Reuven is telling them. Yeah?
Where is this?
Here, just a minute. Or when they found out,
In the border?
when the brothers for the first time, realized, a second.
Ever been Mitzrayim, all these things.
No, they got together.
Look a second and
Shabbat. Let's see, Thanksgiving.
look a second on page 236. When Yosef is accusing them as spies, and he demands that they should bring Binyamin, and as a collateral, he takes Shimon. Yes? Shimon, he knows exactly what Shimon is, he knows the potential of Shimon, he knows what Shimon did with zealousness, he locks him up. Look at 236, it's Perek Mebet, Pasuk Chaf. ויאמרו איש אל אחיו, אבל אשמים אנחנו,
I don't know, Elaine.
על אחינו, אשר ראינו צרת נפשו, והתחננו עלינו ולא שמענו. All the nice excuses, here the Pasuk is
response is,
revealing
please.
something that is not written. He's on the floor begging, what do you want from me? You didn't pay attention to the crying of a brother, yes, to the crying of the brother. על כן, באה עלינו הצרה הזאת. So this is what they realize, hey, all the theory that we build is falling apart. ויען ראובן אותם לאמור, הלא אמרתי עליכם לאמור, אל תחטאו בילד. Sammy, the first time that Yosef is referred to as a yellow. We starting Hakim, Reuven is brilliant. He's a kid. What do you want from me? He's definitely wrong with what he, but he did it as a yellow. It's a kid. You break something in the house, you do this. פעם ראשונה, Yosef is a yellow, Yosef.
Well, they said Ben Sheva.
No, אני מתכוון, nobody.
The brothers.
The brothers, כן? ולא שמעתם, וגם דמו איני נדרש, yes? Now, of course, this is the beginning of a real Shuvah process by realizing all the towers that you're building in your the exact opposite. We are afraid to look at it. We are stuck always in plans that we have, and it's his fault, his fault. This is the parasha. I just want to share with you a very interesting Bala to read. David, you still have young kids. The Bala Turim, you do realize, guys, people always love the Bala Turim because they think it's Gematria. Bala Turim wrote the Turim, which means 200 years before the Bet Yosef wrote the Shulchan Aruch, 150 years, he wrote it, yes? The Bet Yosef didn't dare to write the Shulchan Aruch until he wrote commentary on the two, yes? Basically, the Shulchan Aruch is models, word by word, after the two. He had a brilliant mathematical head. He says himself, when he went to sleep, he couldn't sleep very often. And this is when he comes up with, תשמע מה שהוא אומר פה, תשמע מה שהוא אומר. תשמע מה שהוא אומר, הוא אומר,
Baraturim is the tour.
the two,
Yeah,
the two,
same person.
Baraturim, the same guy.
לא,
same guy.
לא, סמי,
Son of the Lord.
לכן קוראים לו טורים, מה זה בעל הטורים?
You wrote
טור אור
four tours.
החיים, טור אבן העזר, טור יורד, הטורים,
All the Turim.
he wrote the
No,
Turim.
same guy, really.
In the Sephardic community, everywhere, you're not a real chacham unless you learn
Tur
two
Bet
Bet
Yosef.
Yosef.
Doesn't that come from Shir Hashirim to raise Zahav? Isn't that from there?
יפה מאוד, יפה מאוד.
Is that why they got the name? That's why they got the name.
תשמע את דבר שהוא אומר.
But they all come, Kesef, Mishnah, all these names come from something important. They're very smartly done.
See, the Kesef Mishneh name is, since the Rambam named this book Mishneh Torah, Kesef Mishneh, I'm getting changed to Mishneh Torah. Lechem Mishneh, Magid Mishneh, everyone, we are holding on to, if you really learn, he has a sefer, this is a kitzur.
Mishneh LaMelech. I mean, who is the Melech? I mean,
Yes, yes.
Yosef is Mishneh LaMelech Gamkein. It's very interesting how they pick these
No,
names.
but this is exactly what they took before. So he
Yeah,
says
sure.
here, it says here,
They wouldn't use their real names, probably, right?
תשמע מה שהוא אומר. אז הוא אומר ש... He says that the word זקונים, he says that the word זקונים refers to, תשמע טוב, השישה סדרי משנה, זרעים, מועד, נשים, נזיקים, קודשים, טהרות. He says Ben זקונים, he was teaching him 5 out of the 6. זקונים, זרעים, קוף, קודשים, נון is נשים, יוד ישועות, ישועות is נזיקים, קודשים and mem is moed. What happens to טהרות? According to this, basically he's saying what we said before. Everything that Yaakov learned in the past, which he did not teach his children, he's teaching to him. Ma'im טהרות, if you're teaching him really, Hasidic masters say Tarot, no one can teach you. I can teach you the basics. Which type of your life, this is your decision. Remember, because this is you. I can teach you knowledge. Zraim, Moed, Nashim, Nezikim, Kodashim. Take all the 5 and the way you internalize it, integrate it in your life. This is what you do. Okay. Okay, let's go further. Guys, the reason every year and you read all the speeches is because the cancer is still in our society. This is in every Ashkenaz, Sephardic, Reform, Conservative.
What cancer?
No, the
Human
cancer
nature,
of
human
hating
nature.
each other, jealousy. And because of the jealousy, what we do,
So you have to give people the benefit of doubt, how many shortcomings that we all have
but
with
if
human
you
nature.
really, when you really read stories of great people, this type of stories, the way they handle this type of situation.
Even today, people short attention, impulsive. The first thing comes to their mind, they act on it. They go, hold on, take a deep breath, see what happened. What's the facts? Maybe they sleep on it overnight, see what's happening.
Anyway, we spoke already this week that first they believe it has to be eliminated, and the Sephora is using what you said before, it's called Sephora. They believe he's a type of a Rodef. Why? Because in history,
They lose their lineage. they lose
Yitzchak
their
is
heritage.
pushing Ishmael. Yitzchak is pushing Ishmael. Yaakov is pushing Esau. They believe that this is going to continue.
You said it's gonna push them out.
Yes.
So if the
one person
So
has the line,
if
the
the
lineage.
father is pointing out Yehuda to Reuven, fine. But they believe that he is pushing himself, and this is why he's creating such an environment.
Yosef.
Yosef,
No, he-
It's a
they
Baal
believe
Mahmoud.
by Yaveh Yosef and Dibatam, especially if you take the Rashi's interpretation, it's Dibatam of all of them, yes? they look on him
So
as
maybe
He's a
playing,
Baal
They're all dead.
they're playing the father, so to speak. They got the father's good graces and push everybody out. You could see that.
You know, the pasuk you read before is really frightening. Aval Hashemim anachnu b'tchanano eleinu. It's you stop to hear. Each one, according to one of the Mefarshim, each one was asked. Yosef said, "Don't do it, don't do it." B'chano eleinu with lo shamai eleinu. It's unbelievable. A sense of no forgiveness to your own brother. Rabbi Prague is right. It kills us year after year, generation after generation.
The real commentators say "Beitchaneno aleinu" is on the floor crying. How can you not pay attention to it?
Right, it's as scary as the word Hanan. It's just.
But Reuven wasn't there, right? He
And
went
then
to
the
some-
opposite, Reuven is trying. He says Reuven is coming back.
He came back at least, where was he?
Oh, so look a second. And
Yeah, back and forth.
go to. First, the plan is to kill. וישמע ראובן, פסוק 21, פרק ל"ז, ויצילהו מידם. ויאמר לא נקנו נפש. ויאמר עליהם ראובן, אל תשפכו דם נקי, אל תשפכו דם. השליכו אותו אל הבור הזה, ויד אל תשלחו בו למען אציל אותו מידם. ראובן is acting. Reuven is acting as a real Bechor.
Yeah.
He's saying, I have to report to Daddy. There's nothing I can say. No, remember the Torah. He really.
But you know,
yes.
Rabbi Prague, but that's the story with Reuven. No, he doesn't get credit over here for this because obviously Yaakov never knew because later on with the brachot he never mentions it. And when he goes,
Well,
when he goes,
on the
later.
Larry, it's the opposite.
Later, the question comes up after Yosef.
Versus Reuven.
Shouldn't he build his father a palace right next to him? He's sending his father to Goshen. Says the Rishonim say, Larry, he was afraid to be alone with his father
Well,
because if
what
he would
happened?
ask him, what happened?
Yeah.
Where were you? He's so protective
He doesn't want
of
to.
his brothers. He's so afraid that Yaakov might, who knows what, that he's distancing himself. I'm a king, I have a big
But
job.
also Rabbi Prague, in fairness, if you go back to the story later on, he picks Yehuda, Anochi Ervenu Miyadi Tivakshenu. Reuven is throughout the story is always when he did the thing when he changed the bed with Bilhah, Zilpah, whatever. Reuven always was doubted. He was always doubted with his
because Larry, when he left, why do you think he left them in the pit? He went to go do teshuvah for what he did, moving Bilhah's bed to Leah's.
That's possible.
And what you are saying is, Sammy, this was your question. When you look at Pasuk Chavtet, Vayashav Reuven el Abo,
He read his garments.
Veinei en Yosef.
Yeah.
Says Rashi, look at the Rashi. This is your question.
Rabbi,
ובחירתו לא היה שם, שהגיע יומו ללך ולשמש את אביו. דבר אחר, אוקיי, שהיה עסוק בשקו בתעניתו, he's crying all the time, and this, so אנה אני בא, look what he says, אנה אני בא, אנה אברח מצערו של אבא, how could I face the father? I'm the בכור. Sakot Anito means since no Bilbel in last week's parasha after Rachel died, it says Vayelech Reuven Vayishkav et Bilal. So the Chazal say Bilbel it took his
right. He didn't sleep with him. He moved the bed.
You have to realize why, Sam. You have to realize why.
Kavod imo.
Rachel died. Who raised Yosef? Yaakov is Yaakov. Bilhah. This is why you believe now Bilhah Shefat Rachel should replace.
Right.
Should
Right.
replace.
So who did Vayishkav, who did he sleep with?
Rabbi, the Reuven realized that if he as the Bechor,
But who did
he
Yeah,
was
but
making
Yaakov
teshuvah because
curses
he
him.
let them.
Yes, Bilhah.
Yes.
the one that he thought was his brother?
Zilpah, Yaakov took the bed of Bilah. And he says to take the bed of Bilah is a slap in the face to my
But
mother.
Rabbi Prague,
Right.
Rabbi Prague,
Oh, he didn't want it.
לא רצה את זה,
Oh,
לא
he
רצה.
He did it for Kibbutz mother.
I made a big mistake.
yeah, but if he did it for kibbutz of his mother, it's very nice to read that. But in the brachot, he goes, come on, let's
Well,
let's
Yeah,
read the
yes,
brachot.
because yes, that's correct, Larry, because he's the reason why the brothers did what they did. Because he was the Bechor. He could have said, we're not doing this, we're not going to kill our brother, we're not throwing him in the pit. By
No,
throwing
I'm
him in the
talking-
pit, he created the brothers the idea that they could kill him.
No, I'm going back. He says, Ki alita mishkavei avicha. And what else could he be talking about?
כן, מדברים
Ah,
כמו-
it's not-
all the divrei Torah is to defend everyone, but it's written in our show us clearly, yes? He made a mistake, but he's regretting it. He's regretting it, and he takes
From the
responsibility
beginning,
as a Bechor.
And when someone begs you in a makom tzara, you should pay attention. There's so many stories and
Right.
messages you can learn from these parshiot. That's what we're learning. Everyone picks one that they like. That's
Guys, remember, we are afraid. On Yom Kippur, the only time in our prayers we refer to the Jewish people, כי אתה סלחן לישראל, שבטי שירו לענת ישראל, says the Meshech Chochmah, he has an essay, Chet of Mechirat Yosef, every Yom Kippur, we have to ask,
Every Kippur.
לבן אדם למקום.
Yeah.
מחלה לשבטי ישורון אחרי מכירת יוסף, ככה הוא אומר. The Gemara says numerous times, every עבירה בין אדם למקום, the root was חטא העגל. Every בין אדם לחברו is מכירת יוסף.
Those first Pesach and Tisha B'Av and the same,
Right.
same kind of week, same connection.
well, what Rabbi Prague? What is that ba'avur na'alayim? They sold him for shoes. What is the na'alayim?
The Midrash, how much money
Price
did the
is
Ishmaelim give you?
Oh, okay.
But forget the na'alayim. The key is by selling your brother and buying shoes with that, you're saying this.
So,
We're looking on him as cool. This is the point of the na'alayim. It's the anyway. Look a second. I said last night, Rabbi Wasserman says, for hundreds of years, the Goyim accuse us around Christmas using blood from us.
Yeah.
He says it's one accusation, there's no seed of any truth. You know, ברור לו שזה בגלל בהתגלות הכתוב לבדה. Which means, he says, which means that every year before Pesach we have to remember, we are afraid to remember this parasha. If I have to teach one parasha, this is a parasha to teach. This is life. All the problem, look at this.
Misunderstandings.
Look a second. Vayakumu, because it's tough also because we like to look, we would never do it. We would do much worse.
Yeah.
Yes. The Torah is showing us, the Torah removes the external masks that we put on ourselves as educated human beings. Look at the nicest of the nice, if they are really jealous, what it brings to.
So, which is
And
more
I'm
powerful,
using
Vayeshev or Miketz?
I'm using
In
the-
case the CDF, the
I'm
man.
using as an example. Everyone knows, and remember, I'm a product of the 60s, 50s, that when the state of Israel was created, Herzl spent a lot of money and they bought a boat, Altalena, and they spent a lot of money for machine guns. Israel really needs oxygen. Ben Gurion decides, no, this is to start a revolution.
They're still fighting over that.
The cannon that was shooting at Altalena, Hatotach HaKadosh.
Wow.
You understand?
It was insane what he did. They decided that Haganah is the only decider. So these guys.
Right. Well,
Oh, I'm saying I can be a good Sam,
We're getting 75% and they
Sam.
want 25%. He said no.
Sam.
And on the percentage of sharing the weapons.
Sam, I'm using it as an example of Yosef ve'echav. You realize? Is it murder, cold blood, or Totach HaKadosh? You do know who was the commander that was
good old Menachem Begin.
shot with a bullet, yes?
Wow.
Yeah, הקצין שהיה ממונה על הטרללת, זה כתוב בכל הספרים. זה-
The Katzin that shot it was Yitzhak Rabin?
He was in charge of the operation. You see the flames coming through the boat.
We're still suffering from that Maaseh. We're still to this day that
Shooting the boat.
He shot the boat.
הוא מת מכדור בראש.
Larry,
yeah.
לא, but
I
that's-
like to learn about that. I don't know really what happened with that. I don't know what happened
gotta
with that,
read it.
really.
You gotta read it, Ike. It's the worst story ever.
Other one says it's murder.
Yeah, every,
Ike, it's brother against brother. If I get a
Wow.
book, I'll send it to you when I get a chance. I have to
Yeah.
find it.
Castro,
look a second.
Fidel Castro, right?
when יוסף, תשמע, זה דבר מאוד חשוב. ויקומו כל בניו וכל בנותיו ולחמו. וימהר להילחם. Okay, so the commentators, who are the rulers? Fine, either real rulers or rulers. Fine.
Yeah, yeah.
What can
Oh,
you
man.
father?
No.
You're coming to a Shiva house. I know it very good.
What could you say?
What? You know what they say? Look at us. You have such a beautiful family. So one kid is gone, but we. ככה אמרו, כל פרשים it is. ויקומו כל בניו וכל בנותיו. This is the נחמה. Then it's a tragedy. You lost it. But
But
you have a
left.
family. Your life has to go on. וימהר להילחם. וימהר להילחם. ויאמר, this is the kid that my future is hanging on him. How can I be מתנחם? Guys, it's a lesson. Tomorrow we have to listen to the Barsha, not to doze
Yeah,
off
yeah,
when you read it.
Thank you, Rabbi. Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi.
Yeah.
Well, I
This
see.
20 coins.
Shalom, Nathan.
Have in the 5 seconds, 5 coins.
Yeah. The Midrash says,
But you don't have in the 5 coins that come from this.
the Midrash says, Sammy, the amount of money they
20
receive
shekels.
for yourself is 5 slayim. Says the Midrash, the reason why you want to bed has 5 slayim is because this is the money they got.
Rabbi Prague?
סלעים, it's 20 כסף, but בסלעים,
It's equal to 5 shekalim. It's equal to 5 shekalim.
you hear, Larry? What is the connection between Pidyon Abel? You hear? תקשיב טוב, Sammy.
Next
You
Friday,
becoming,
I'm scheduled to be a Kohen at a
you
Pidyon.
listen, you becoming a father of a Bechor. Remember, you have to know how to handle it.
Oh,
Yaakov didn't know how to do it. Look what happened to Yosef. זה לא סתם 5-5, מה אמר 5-5? It's the first time you're becoming a dad. There's many lessons to know when you treat your Bechor.
Says here, the Jews for all time are commanded to redeem their firstborn and in atonement for an ancient sin.